I wanted to talk today just a little bit about where we're at in training. We're about 30 days in the 100 days of a lesson a day is the idea, even though I'm putting out more than that. So when I was taught this, I was taught in the same way you are being taught, where there might be different things being thrown at me from different sides. Things about meditation one night, movements the next night, that sort of thing, and practicing on the form the next. I talked about that in a different video, and that's the way that I teach, is that I, rather than siloing people's knowledge, I try to get that knowledge to thread together. So the thing is that when we're doing this Lohan, it was actually originally designed to be a support system for meditation for monks. So this entire routine, which makes up the style, has an awful lot of different sections in it that should actually be done. There's a routine for them, one at a time, in a row, first thing when you wake up in the morning. Now, to do the entire monk's routine, and I'm going to keep calling it that, takes about 2 to 2.5 hours. So not too many normal people are going to do that. So what you're going to do instead is you're going to find things that you can do and be able to throw yourself into that works for your schedule. The most important thing in Lohan is the standing form. So right now, we are about halfway through the standing form. So you should already have the form from the very beginning, bow to respect the Buddha, to file the horse's hooves, I believe is where we are. Or cut down 1,000 soldiers, somewhere in there. So we're halfway through the form, and you should be practicing it every day. And any of the other theory videos, line drill videos, all these talking videos that I'm giving out, they're all meant to support. They're just meant to have something in the background of the mind to follow along while you're doing the form. Okay, so I had a question. I'm going to answer it here, and the question was about the self-massage routines. So there are 3 standing self-massage routines, and there's 2 different sitting ones as well. So I guess we haven't even started to cover those yet, but they're very simple. They're just basically making sure that the mind and body are not shocked apart. In the old language, Qigong masters would say stuff like, when finishing Qigong, go for a short walk, don't go out in the wind, don't drink something cold. And the reason was that they didn't want to shock their bodies. They noticed that if they did those things, they didn't feel well. So they would tell the students not to. So when you're doing Qigong, which Lohan is, right? You're working on different relationships. You have to be very careful that you're not cooling down improperly, I guess is really the way to put it. So that's what all the massage methods are for. It's a cool down after you've practiced the standing form. Some of the massage methods when you're sitting are actually to get you warmed up and stretched out so you can do the form better. And all of this stuff is about one thing, realistically, in the end, which is just removing the dualism between the mind and the body. So in order to really understand what this is all about, we have to have at least one thing that we're focusing on. So we're focusing on our Lohan form. You're doing the form every single day. You don't have to do the massages. You don't have to do all these other things. If you have the time for it, great. And I'll make a video. I'll do the entire routine. I used to do that with one of my classes. Takes, like I said, probably 1.5 hours to 2 hours if we kind of skip the meditation lengths of time. Anyway, so when you're practicing, what you want to be really, really focused on is the standing form. And all other things are meant to support the standing form. Why? Because learning a form is teaching your mind to communicate with your body, right? I talk to you or I do a video, your mind interprets it, and then you propriocept your body to move the way you approximate mine is. So your mind has to integrate with your body more strongly than it did before. Now, if you keep that up and you keep learning, more movements in a form, eventually the mind will understand what's going on. It'll teach the body what's going on, and you won't have to think about the next move in the former anymore. For instance, it'll just become totally instinctual. When you do Lohan eventually, and it's your 10,000th time, you won't even think about it. But that is when you're able to get another newer exercise to work. So if I've done my Lohan form so much I don't have to think about the form anymore, well, then I have something else I could be thinking about. And that's where you could literally throw a dart at any of the other videos on a board that I've made, metaphorically, and you could pick any other topic and say, okay, well, this week I'm going to work on breath ratio. This week I'm only going to work on how low my stances are. This week I'm going to work on whatever it might be, right? Because there's a lot of different topics, because we're trying to drive the point home that of non-duality, of making sure our mind and our bodies aren't separate things, even though we think of them that way. We kind of think of ourselves as ghosts piloting meat robots, and it's so not that. Your pinky finger is no less a part of you than your leg. Either one of them is going to cause a massive amount of trauma if you cut it off, and it's going to be to your mind and your emotions. So it's not less you, it just isn't. So the more deeply you can integrate your mind into your body, the more singularly you start to see what you are. And that's all martial arts is identifying yourself, right? That's what Qigong is. That's what all of this Lohan business is about, is identifying who you really are and what your issues are, what's keeping you from being who you need to be. Anyway, hopefully I didn't ramble too much. The point of the video, please keep working on the standing form. That's the main thing. Poke around at the other videos, look at them as much as you like, but keep your focus in one place. And feel free to comment and ask me questions, because the more questions I get, the more easily I'll be able to answer that question for not only yourself, but maybe somebody else. All right.